What's up guys, it's Mr. Adazai here. Today I'm bringing you a simple top 10 robots in 2020 video. Now, I know that 2020 is not yet over, obviously. Actually we're about in the middle of the year now, or a little bit past that actually. But I believe that there will only be like one or two other new robots this year, and one of them we know is going to be the Jaeger. But I just wanted to get this mid-year thing going on. So right now, as of August 30th, almost September, what are the best robots in War Robots? So let's just cut to the point. I think that the number 10 on the top 10 list is going to be the Falcon, specifically the Traditionalist Falcon. The Traditionalist Falcon is an extremely good build, not just because it's like really strong and hard to kill, but it's also extremely cost efficient. I mean, not just is the Falcon itself not a tier 4 robot like many of the other meta robots, but whatever weapon you choose to put on it, you only have to pay and upgrade a singular weapon. And I think that that really makes all the difference. And as for the pilot skills, you can get the legendary pilot Cornac DeVos. I personally just have one. I think I got it for free from the event, so it's not even that hard to get your hands on. It increases the middle weapon's damage, and all you really need is the Traditionalist skill, obviously, and whatever else you put, like Armor Expert or Tough Guy, if that's even a thing. And yeah, so the Falcon is an extremely good robot, not just because it is very strong, because technically the Fenrir is not on this list, but the Fenrir will beat the Falcon in a 1v1. I just think that this definitely beats the Fenrir in terms of cost efficiency, because the Fenrir is a tier 4 robot, and you also have to upgrade the 2 mediums, and there's like multiple legendary pilots for it you gotta choose between and stuff, and they're not as easy to get your hands on. And I know they're coming out with another Fenrir legendary pilot that was going to even be better than the current best pilot, which I believe is the Santa Claus pilot, or Nicholas Woodanson, I think. But yeah, anyway, that is number 10. And for number 9 on this tier list, we're going to have a Phantom. Phantom is an extremely good robot for pushing the first beacon and starting it as your first robot, maybe putting on Battleborn modules on it and pushing that beacon. Just the way it is, it's a tough robot. It is such a strong robot in such a tiny hitbox. It's absolutely ridiculous. This thing has like the health of a, I don't know, 2/3 of a Fenrir or a Falcon or something in this little tiny shell, especially when you get that 33% damage resistance going on, and you also have the Olga Minya pilot on it, which will increase your ability uptime. I really think that this Phantom is an amazing bot just because of the fact that it is so good at pushing that first beacon, and it can really turn the tides of the battle when you're just starting and you're all pushing the beacon. Whoever's got the best Phantoms is the winners. And it's not only that. One current tactic that people have been using is you'd get a Loki when the Titan phase comes out, and all the Titans will be going and murdering everybody with their death lasers from 600 meters away, but the Lokis are just running around and capturing all the beacons. Well, if you are not in your Titan yet, you could just drop into a Phantom, chase down all those Lokis, and murder them, and it's really good at doing that. But not, most people use their Phantoms just to push the beacon and don't have more than one in their hangar, so it's really a choice you have to make, but that is very much something that you can do with the Phantom, and it is very good at doing that. As for price though, it's not extremely efficient in price. Again, it's basically the same as a Fenrir. You need to get 3 weapons upgraded, as well as the robot itself. But really there's a lot of good weapons you can run on it, such as like the cryo weapons and the shotgun weapons and stuff, and I think that they're good. It's just the shotgun weapons were really good for doing a ton of sustained damage in this tiny bot, but now because of the shotgun nerf making them burst weapons, there's not much really good sustained weapons other than the Scourge Spark build, but that's also getting nerfed. But even still, the Phantom still powers through. It's still a really good robot, and it takes the number 9 spot on this tier list. And as I had referred to in the Phantom spot, the Loki is going to be the next one up. Loki's again really, like as I was talking about, it's kind of crazy how this really tiny robot counters the biggest, baddest, strongest robot in the game, because all you have to do is just run around and they just can't hit you. Even now with the quantum sensor module, even I have one upgrading. It's kind of annoying to get it to 350 meters, but still 350 meters, that's not like it's not really that. If you can keep your distance, I'm sure that you'll still do fine, and you also need to use a phase shift on it if you want to really avoid it. I think the quantum sensor module it's going to be really powerful against Loki's, so it might drop Loki's down the tier list later in the year, but as of now, really not that many people have their hands on these quantum sensors, so your Loki's still going to be very good. And even for those people that do, let's just be honest, the people who already have a maxed quantum sensor probably also have a maxed everything else, and everything in your hangar died to them in about 5 minutes or so. So, you know, whatever. But in a general balanced environment, Loki is still a really good robot, because it's like basically I think it's the best beacon capper in the game. It's just so fast. It's so you know, when the enemies, they get all the beacons on you and you have Adam and Roadhog, it absolutely blazes through the battlefield, and it's just so hard for. It really annoys a lot of robots that have like higher weapon hard points and they just can't hit it. The only times that like I'm able to really kill Loki's is if I'm using a bot that doesn't really have high weapon hard points. Like sometimes you could hit it. Also, not even with the Guang that I use, because I have Scourges there, but like when I ran shotguns on it, you'd be able to do that. But still, it just runs so fast. It always gets away from you. I think that the big counters to this thing are going to be the quantum sensor and the Yangli pilot. But other than that, if you can avoid those, if you know how you're playing and you can time your phase shifts, the Loki is a absolutely amazing robot. As for weapon setups, I personally, if I were to run a Loki, I would without a doubt run it with Sinister Rhymes. It just looks so good with them. I love how Sinister Rhymes look on this thing. But not just looks, like Rhymes are just in general a good Loki setup. Sparks I think are okay, but I personally don't think I would go for them really. Sparks are just sort of it's like it's more of a sustained weapon, and in Loki only coming out of the stealth and quick bursts, so I'd say really Halos or Rhymes are your best bet for Loki, unless I'm like missing something. Maybe you could try like Blazes, but I think Halos and Rhymes are definitely going to take the best setups for this. Anyway, so let's get on to the next spot. So coming up on number 7, we have the Leech. The Leech, it was, definitely, it's taken quite a fall from its number 1 spot in the last year's tier list. I don't think I made one, but a lot of the tier lists, even earlier this year, Leech was consistently number 1 robot, and that just because it was such a strong robot. But now, with the introduction of Hawk, Leech is really gonna feel the pain. Even the introduction of Ravana really screwed Leech over because of Arnav Poe just being able to dodge the entire ability. So Leech is still, it's still a very competitive robot, but in comparison to some of the newer robots that have come out, Leech I don't think is as great anymore. I still really like Leeches, but again, it's really lost its shine. The Storm build used to be insane. The Storms got nerfed, but I think now for the Leech, running burst builds is still going to be okay. So you'll still be able to get away with Storms and Coronas pretty well, as well as Cryos. But I think that one really powerful, underrated setup is going to be the Fire Leech with the Igniters. High level Igniters, 4 of them really pack a punch. So that is definitely going to be a good spot, or a good setup, and this robot will definitely be taking the number 7 spot. Now let's get on to the next one. The new contender, the Scorpion, has taken the number 6 spot for this list. The Scorpion is an extremely annoying robot to fight against. It can just teleport behind you from the back lines, fill you with lead, and get right back there. This thing is so good against even some of the robots above it, like the Hawk. Any robot really that relies on an ability, so basically anything other than like Ravana, the Scorpion excels at just destroying the Scorpion. It can basically, you just hide behind a wall, you wait for that Aojun or Hawk or whatever to land, you teleport behind them, fill them with storm shots, and then get right back and you're completely safe. You know, your Iskra pilot healed you, it's whatever. Obviously, I'm going to say weapon setup recommendations are either Storms, Coronas, or Ice Rockets, and that's simply because it's just it's a burst robot. You don't really want to be playing sustain on this. They really have been advertising this with atomizers. I think it could be okay with atomizers, but I think that Storms and Coronas and Ice Rockets are going to do better just because of the playstyle of this being that you teleport behind someone, get in, get out, you know. There's a pilot coming out for this, which is going to make it ridiculous, and I can really see this thing just sitting up there with Ravana when it gets this pilot, and it's going to make it go in stealth when it teleports behind you. The sound of that is insane, so I think this will definitely later in the year make its way up a little higher, but the Scorpion is a ridiculous robot already as it is. You know, I don't really know how much the built-in weapon is doing. I don't really notice it as much, but I know that just the fact that you can teleport behind people and, you know, basically take them down to their last stand if they don't have good situational awareness is a really powerful thing, and in good hands this Scorpion will definitely be doing good work for you. So it's definitely going to be taking the number 5 spot. Wait, is this number 5? Number 6 spot. Okay, great job. And now for the actual number 5 spot is going to be the Blitz. The Blitz has been a really overshadowed robot until they came out with the pilot for it, Clive Vicious. I think really even before the pilot came out, the Blitz was still ridiculously good. Basically, you would just need to hope that your enemy didn't have anti-control, and if they didn't have anti-control, or you know you'd already proc their anti-control with shredders or something, then your suppression beams would just completely destroy them, and you could run in with your shield, and even having a shield instead of that 90% resistance, it's still extremely good. I mean, you basically were just invincible. There was a lot of really good gameplays with Shredder Blitzes, and I think Shredder Blitz is a great but specifically now Clive Vicious Blitz is just so good. You're basically this tiny Leech, and you'd be like, oh, but this thing isn't better than the Leech. They basically do the same thing, but the Leech redirects the damage, and this has 4 light weapons instead of 4 mediums. Well, I mean, you'd like to think that, but this just has more team value as well, because you can suppress your enemies. You're also faster, like way faster than the Leech. It's also a little bit harder to actually tell when your ability's over, like when it's just these nitpicky things. It also has a smaller hitbox, so shotguns don't get it as well. It has higher base health, so you're a little bit stronger when you don't have your ability, and when I say higher base health, I mean like literally double Leech's base health. So there's just a lot of like you know, good trade-offs that make this definitely worth it for the slightly less firepower, and even then, like 4 shredders maxed does so much damage. As a guy who's like, you know, played in these games against these really high level blitzes with shredders, they don't even need to be like up close like the shredders usually are. They'll just be at like 200 meters and absolutely destroying me with shredders because they're just so high level. So you know, if you can level it up, and shredders aren't particularly hard to level up. They're not even tier 4 weapons, I don't think. They're the ones that you can, I think it's tier 3, the ones you can get with components or gold. So they are definitely easier to level up. If you don't have 4 shredders, not everyone has 4 shredders. 4 halos is also good. Again, not everyone has 4 halos. 4 gusts is also good, and 4 rhymes is also good. There's a lot of really good setups that you can run on this, but it's kind of essential at this point that you have like a Clive Vicious on it. You could still do very good with the shield, but I don't think that it would be on this top 10 list if it weren't for Clive Vicious. I usually prefer it when the enemy blitz pulls out a shield instead of the resistance, because if they're, you know, usually have anti-control on like all of my robots, so you could just shoot right through it. But you know, if you don't have anti-control, it's still going to be really hard on you. So yeah, this Blitz takes the actual number 5 spot. On to the next one. And here in the number 4 spot, we have Aojun. Aojun is a terrifyingly good robot, but unfortunately, I think due to the release of the Hawk, the Aojun is going to see a little bit less play. The Aujin is also getting a really, really detrimental nerf that I personally don't even think needs to go through at this point, because, like, if you just look at the Hawk basically is what the Aujin is. So if the Hawk is balanced and doesn't need the nerf, neither does the Aujin. But I digress. Even when they nerf this thing, 20% less damage on the flamethrower, 6 seconds flying cooled instead of 8 seconds. I think the most of the pain is really going to be in that 6 seconds of flying instead of 8 seconds. I'm just hoping this nerf doesn't go through, but even if it does, the Aujin will still really be good in this spot. The Aujin is just it's hard to explain. When you're using an Aujin and you're using Yangli, you can run around, you could chase those Lokis that are running away, you could kill all these other Aujins. Anything that has stealth is just, like, even if you were seeing those, like, Spectres, for whatever reason, there's a couple Spectres still in Champions League, you could chase them down and just absolutely destroy them with, like, Redeemers. Running an Aujin is amazing. I have one in my hangar, but I do have to say that it is definitely worse than its new counterpart, the Hawk. With the nerf going through, it's definitely not going to be as good as it is now, but I still think that it will be somewhere on the top 10. But as of now, with its unnerfed variant, the flamethrower is extremely strong, and it's still pretty good against Titans. Even with quantum sensors, you can, like, really juke out a lot of the Titan shots. They can't always. It's not that easy to aim, especially if they're using the Vengeances. Those things are terrible for aiming. But if they're using, like, the Dragoon weapons, I'd say just stay away. But in general, Aujin still very powerful, still really meta, and will probably remain that way for at least the rest of the year. So anyway, let's get on to the number 3 robot. Taking the number 3 spot is the Nightingale, the absolute best support this game has ever seen. This robot is just, I mean, I talk about this in a lot of my videos, but this robot is such a good support. When you're playing in your Titan and you see a Nightingale spawn next to you, and it really just, it completely shifts the tide of Titan battles. It's straight up just, you're a Titan fighting another Titan, Nightingale comes, reduces their damage by like 75% or more. I run the suppressor pilot skill, so it's actually like 85% for me. And you're just sitting there, you're healing your teammate, your teammate's getting healed, your enemy's getting suppressed. This thing only suffers against Nightingales. Arthurs. I really like to run this around the Titan phase, just because it's so good at, well, helping your Titan teammates. Whenever your teammates are in a Titan, you could, like, get 2 Titans, you're healing them, and you're suppressing the entire enemy team. All those Almings that are shooting all your friends from 600 meters away, you could just suppress them. And I think that just the fact that it has these 2 amazing support abilities, and stealth, and in that really long ability, and you have this pilot that makes your cooldown like 15 seconds for this incredible ability. I mean, it's ridiculous. I love this robot so much, and without a doubt, even after they buff the heck out of, they're gonna buff Mender so hard, he's gonna get 70% resistance instead of 50% resistance. He's gonna get, like, what, 6 healing pulses instead of 4, or I think 8 healing pulses. And the ability duration is gonna be longer. He's gonna run faster. All of those buffs, Mender still will not be as good as Nightingale. Even Wayland, 15% extra healing in the circle, Wayland will not be as good as Nightingale. Nightingale is an amazing support, and it's for, until they release another crazy support, this is basically just the best support this game has, and you should basically always have one in your hangar. I mean, having the Nightingale in the top meta game, you don't even need to, like, level it all too much. I have mine at level 9, and I can heal Titans just fine. You want to get that the Virginia Walker pilot on it, maybe suppressor skill on it. Guns you run don't even matter. You could run it with no guns, it's still fine. Well, don't run it with no guns though. Really, like, you don't need to pay too much attention to the guns. But if you do insist on paying attention to the guns, I recommend using either cryos or flamethrowers, and that's specifically just because, since this is very good in the Titan phase, you want to be able to get through those Arthur shields. I personally run flamethrowers, but I know cryos are a more popular build just because cryos can reload while firing, so you don't have to empty your whole thing before you go into your ability. But still, I love this robot. I think that this spot is very deserved, and this isn't actually just like, it's not even one of those robots that's like horrifically overpowered. This isn't like a Ravana, it's just an amazing support robot, and if you know how to play it, then your team will love you. Now, let's get on to the number 2 spot. In the number 2 spot, I've placed Hawk. This might be a bit controversial because there's a lot of these videos coming out of Hawk just like decimating Owlmings in seconds, but do think about this. Well, if you put a Hawk up against a Ravana, the Hawk will lose, basically, without a doubt. That Ravana is, you know, obviously number 1. I'll talk about that later, but I think Hawk, just since it can be countered easily by Scorpion and Ravana, both of them, just in the same way the Audryn can be countered, you know, just because the ability can be waited out, and then the Scorpion can teleport behind it, or for the Ravana, it can just wait out the ability and then kill it with its superior health and crazy medium weapons and stuff. Really, I think that even though the Hawk is just insane, amazing in this game, just like bypassing damage resistance, any Leech that comes in front of you, any Titan, except for basically Arthur. This thing kind of struggles against Arthur. It's amazing at killing them, but it's also the price that's a problem. Because with a lot of, like, for example, the Nightingale, you get the robot to level 9, you barely need to level the weapon since you hardly ever use them, and you have a very solid Champion League robot. This thing, you have to level the robot and all of its weapons, and you need to get them high level in order to make the beam as good as possible. Remember what I said with the Falcon? The Falcon, you know, I was going with like robots, not just on how amazing they are, but also how the robot itself performs based on how much it costs. And this robot costs a ton. Especially if you want to get it now, like you watch the YouTubers open those chests and they spend $500 worth of coins to get it. The only other way to get it, like relatively easily, is like what I did. I got it from a giveaway. A lot of you guys get it from giveaways. Pixonic has been a lot nicer with the giveaways, starting with the Hawk, and I believe this will be a continued trend. But what they're doing is any YouTuber above 500 subscribers can give away 5 Hawks to their audience. So yeah, like and subscribe if you want a Hawk. I mean, technically, if you want a Hawk. I don't know if I'll even be able to give away a Hawk at this point, but maybe a Jaeger if I get to 500 subscribers by then. But like, all these YouTubers are able to give away Hawks. You can go to any tiny small YouTuber, and basically all of them have Hawk giveaways. So getting Hawk it's relatively easy from a giveaway, but even if you're lucky enough to get it from a giveaway, even if you don't spend $500 to get it from token chests, it's still so expensive to get it upgraded. I got mine to level 9 and the weapons to level 7, and it still kind of underperforms. I mean, I think that it performs very well. It's just in comparison to what you see on YouTube when they go to this maxed Ming and they kill it in 2 runs. You know, it's just it's not reasonable for your average player. If you're talking about max Champion Leagues players, this thing's it's just ridiculously good, but I still don't think it beats out a Ravana, because at this point, even a Ravana can kill a freaking Titan. It's not as good at killing Titans as a Hawk, obviously, but like, it's annoying how many max level Ravanas just like shove my Owlming with their 3 max storms, and they're just completely fine doing it. It doesn't matter because they're maxed. Maybe if my Ming was maxed as well, they would have a bit more trouble, but they still do a ton of damage. And I think that trading off, you know, the Ravana's ability to kill every bot for the Hawk's ability to kill resistance bots very well, I'm not sure about it. But either way, Hawk very solidly in 2nd place, still a great robot. If you can get your hands on it, definitely use it. And now finally, for the number 1 robot in today's meta, you already know, it's the Ravana. This insane beast, even after they nerf it, even after they nerf storms, this thing's still gonna kill people so crazily. It's still gonna be incredibly strong. It's still gonna be the number 1 robot, just because the ability to dodge everyone's abilities, and the fact that it's literally a tank. I mean, they advertise this as a tank. It's a heavy robot. This isn't meant to be a damage robot like Leech, where it's like a glass cannon. This thing has more health than a Raijin. This thing has the firepower almost of a Leech. It has so much firepower, so much health, and the fact that it just can be like, okay, I don't want to fight it anymore, I'm gonna disappear for a minute straight, is absolutely insane. I think when it gets nerfed, it's definitely going to be more balanced. It will still be ridiculously overpowered, but it's going to be a little bit more reasonable to fight against it with my Owlkin. Just kidding, my Owlkin will never kill a Ravana. But anyway, You know, you've already heard about it, you already know it. It's the most insane robot there is. It's really good. Storms are great on it. Atomizers are okay. Coronas, basically anything burst, mostly just because the Ravana has this not really ability, not really bug, don't really know what it is, but there's this short time that you can shoot and you can't be shot, where you're like still in phase shift and you can shoot your storms or whatever, and it's a very small time that you could basically burst people and just have no consequence. And I think that's like part of the reason that the Ravana is so damn powerful. Um, but yeah, so storms are definitely the greatest build for this. Even after they nerf storms, I still think that storms will still be a pretty good build on it. They're just gonna be, you know, mostly not as good at lower levels. But yeah, I guess that's it. So that is the whole tier list. You know, these are all the bots that I think they're the best robots in the game. If you disagree with me, tell me why in the comment section, and we can have a nice discussion about it. But yeah, that's what I think are the best robots in War Robots as of now. When Jaeger comes out, I might make a new one, and when the next robot comes out, maybe at like end of 2020, I'll make a video about it. They're by then, I believe they're gonna release one new Titan and two new bots. Maybe I'm not. It's not guaranteed. It's just what I think. I know at very least they'll release one new Titan and one new bot. But I don't know if there's gonna be any other bots other than the Jaeger. We also have like drones upcoming. I don't know how that's gonna affect this whole tier list. If there's gonna be some crazy ability combos for robots that were never really up here. Just like how the Blitz came up here because of a pilot. But yeah, that is all. Thank you for watching my video. Hope you enjoyed. My name is Mr. Azahi, and I will catch you on the flip side.